Good evening, everyone. Thank you and welcome to our Salt Lake City Human Rights Commission meeting. Today is May 17th, 2022. Before we get started, I will go ahead and just read over our a few words to the audience. It says this meeting is a discussion among commissioners and select presenters. The public is welcome. Item schedule may be moved or discussed during a different portion of the meeting based on circumstances or availability of speakers. This meeting will be a hybrid. The commission meeting will have a physical location at the city and county building in the Cannon Room, room 335. And members of the public may provide public comment in person. Commissioners and presenters may join or participate either in person or through electronic means. My name is Esther Stoll. And we have the following commissioners in attendance: Commissioner Wessel for District 1, Commissioner Doumbia for District 7, and Commissioner Bacon, who is our newly appointed commissioner, and he is our at-large commissioner. Commissioner Wessel, if you don't mind, before we go, we also have in attendance Moana. Moana, for some reason your last name I'm just gonna say the other part, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
Can you say it for me, Moana? Let me not take the easy way out.
Uluwave Hafoka.
Moana Uave Hafoka, who is our equity manager, and we also have Maria Romero from the mayor's office, who is also here with us. And I see Jake Maxwell. Hello there, thank you. Commissioner Bacon, would you take a few seconds to introduce yourself? You are our newly appointed commissioner to this commission, and I'm very sure that many people would like to hear and get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for that introduction. So yes, my name is Everett Bacon. I live here in Salt Lake City. I also work in Salt Lake City. I'm blind, so I have been asked to represent the disability community. Our newly appointed ADA Commission, Disability Advocates Commission. We just were appointed that, and I've been on that committee for quite some time, and now it's a commission. And so I was asked to represent the disability community on this commission, which I'm privileged to do, and you know, looking forward to helping in any way I can. I have lived in Salt Lake City for 18 years now. My wife is a medical doctor over at the University of Utah Hospital. She specializes in epilepsy. And then I work at the Division of Services for the Blind here in Utah as our field services coordinator. I also serve as president of a nonprofit organization called the National Federation of the Blind of Utah. It's an affiliate that has representation in every state. Our national headquarters are back in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm also an elected member of their national board of directors. So I'm pretty heavily involved in the blindness and disability community, and you know, looking forward to helping on this commission any way I can. Happy to serve.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome to the Salt Lake Human Rights Commission. We look forward to working with you and building wonderful bridges and creating things that are beneficial for our community. I'm just going to have the commissioners. I just want to also welcome Commissioner Banuri. I just saw you joined us. But I would like for each commissioner to sort of give a few seconds and introduce themselves to Commissioner Arnoux or Commissioner Bacon. I will have Commissioner Banuri. I don't want to put you on the spot, but so you can let me know if we need to move on to someone else, but do you mind starting?
No, not at all. Just a basic introduction. My name is Luna Banuri, and I am, as my day job right now, serve as the Executive Director for Utah Muslim Civic League, and I am a member at large. the commission.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Commissioner Dumia? Commissioner Dumia?
I apologize, I was muted. My name is Shauna Dumbia. I'm also live and work in Salt Lake City. I represent District 7, which is kind of the southern part of the district of the city, rather. You know, on or around Sugar House Park area, and I work with a lot of different communities. I've worked with the refugee communities in Salt Lake for 20 plus years, volunteering, as well as with several of our different communities in the African, mostly West African communities as well. And yeah, welcome, Commissioner Bacon.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wessel?
Hello, my name's Jason Wessel. This is my halfway through the second term on the Human Rights Commission. Lived in Salt Lake City since 1993. Also on the Rose Park Community Council and West Side Coalition, a variety of other things that, yeah, basically represent West Side issues for the most part.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And I am Esther Stowell. I represent District 2, that we are on the west side of Salt Lake, a little bit south of where Commissioner Wessel represents. I am a realtor by trade and a mother of 3 amazing children. But most of all, I am grateful to be here in this commission to serve, along with the wonderful men and women that you are seeing here today. So we're going to move on to our next item on our agenda. And this is to approve and adopt the meetings from our last meeting, which was April 2022. Does anyone have any comments or any comments about the meeting minutes? Okay. Would anyone like to present it for adoption?
Make a motion that we adopt the
motion.
minutes as presented.
Yes.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. That passes unanimously. Our next item would be for public comments. Is there any attendee that we would like to give about 1 or 2 minutes time for anyone in the public that would like to a chance to speak, Is there anyone in the public that would like a chance to speak?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. I believe we have a presentation, which will be video. That's correct, Moana?
Yes.
For the Welcoming America presentation.
Yes.
I believe a video was sent. And we will be looking at that now, watching that now.
Yes.
Okay.
Maria, can you please pull that up?
Provide you all with more information on our network.
Before you start, Maria, I'll just give a little bit of context, especially since Everett wasn't here in the last meeting. And so Welcoming America, the Refugee and New American Subcommittee has been working with Fatima and Roxana from our office in our subcommittee meetings. We'll be having some more follow-up when they return. But they are currently at this conference for Welcoming America. Part of what Salt Lake City is trying to designate itself is to be a welcoming city. There's certain policies and certain practices that will need to be adopted by the city before it can have that designation. And that's a little bit what this this presentation is going to be about with a representative from the national group. He was supposed to be here in person, but was unable to attend, so sent a recording of their presentation. And if you have any questions, I'll take them down and then I will share them with George. George is his name, Zavala. Whatever questions you may have, and we can do some follow-up after. So go ahead, Maria. And if you could make it full screen, please.
Of course. Let me go ahead and share.
Thank you. I'm gonna email that to you right now, Everett,
Okay.
as well, so you can have for reference.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting Welcoming America to present on who we are, provide you all with more information on our network, the benefits you receive as members, and ways you can continue to be involved. I'm sorry that I can't join you all tonight. I'm currently at the Welcoming Interactive in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll first start by introducing myself. My name is George Zavala. I'm the Western Regional Manager at Welcoming America. I'm based out of Austin, Texas, and I support our members in the West, including Salt Lake City, in advancing their welcoming efforts. Prior to this role, I was the Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Development for the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. Funny enough, my first project when I started at the Y was supporting our 26 branches in hosting Welcoming Week events in partnership with Welcoming America. So this is a great full circle moment for me. Today, I'll be covering the following: welcoming introductions, an overview of Welcoming America, an overview of the Welcoming Network and benefits, ways to get involved, some resources, and I'll close out. So first, I'd like to share a little more about Welcoming America. Welcoming America is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that leads a movement of inclusive communities becoming more prosperous by ensuring everyone belongs. We believe that all people, including immigrants, are valued contributors and vital to the success of our communities and shared future. One way we help local communities is through the Welcoming Standard. It captures the core of what it means to be an inclusive community or region. Developed in collaboration with local governments, advocates, and diverse experts, and with input from the public at large, the Welcoming Standard provides a community with a comprehensive guide for deepening immigrant inclusion and welcoming work. The standard addresses a range of essential policies and programs, from language access to hiring practices. The Welcoming Standard is organized by our framework categories, which include government and community leadership, civic engagement, equitable access, education, connected communities, economic development, and safe communities. The Welcoming Standard is the backbone for our Certified Welcoming Program. Currently, Salt Lake County is a certified welcoming community, and hopefully we'll get to see you all listed there soon. Some other communities include San Jose, California, Dallas, Texas, Boise, Idaho, Chula Vista, California, Detroit, Michigan, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just to name a few. So now I'll walk you all through the Welcoming Network and benefits we receive as members. So the Welcoming Network is composed of over 300 nonprofits and local governments working to build more inclusive and welcoming communities in the United States and abroad. Led by Welcoming America, the Welcoming Network is both a network and a movement driven by the conviction that communities make better decisions when residents of all backgrounds, identities, and perspectives are meaningfully engaged. Through the network, we work to change systems and culture by providing communities the roadmap they need to create welcoming policies and share new approaches to inclusion that creates an environment where everyone can truly thrive. As members of the network, some of these benefits that you all receive include training. So Welcoming America holds member-only webinars on a regular basis, and we ensure that the content is based on member needs and current relevant events. Since 2020, we have held webinars dedicated to the effects of COVID-19, the census, the state of race in the US, equitable housing, Welcoming Week, and rebuilding a more inclusive economy. When members are launching a new program, troubleshooting a local to advocating for policy change, for getting started and making the case for welcoming and inclusion work. Welcoming America's staff and partners can be a resource to strategize with you all, and we can be a thought partner. Calls often result in next steps such as direction for relevant research, talking points, or other resources. We can make a connection to a national partner, provide peer introductions, coaching and technical assistance, one of those benefits that you all receive. It's on demand, so it can be accessed anytime by scheduling with myself or any other network point of contact. In addition to on-demand coaching, we offer formal technical assistance programs by application on topics such as bridge building strategies, welcoming economies efforts, and community planning for immigrant inclusion. Another benefit is access to our annual conference, the Welcoming Interactive, where I'm actually calling in from. It's an opportunity for members to convene for 2.5 days. Every year we gather our members and our partners to highlight successful practices and inspiring stories about immigrant inclusion, programs, policies, civic engagement, government leadership, and the partnerships that really help communities thrive. As members, you all receive discounts for registration. This year, like I've said, the Interactive is being hosted in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are hosting our event from May 18th through May 20th. And next year, we will be hosting a similar event in one of our members' communities. Our member forum is a way to cultivate peer-to-peer learning and sharing of experiences. So this is another benefit that is available to you all. Each member can add up to 5 contacts to access this platform. And typically members will post questions to see what others are doing in their communities. They'll share recent local wins. They'll use it to network and primarily to learn from other members' expertise directly. Welcoming America has developed many tools in our resource library that capture promising practices and how-to strategies for immigrant inclusion. Our staff are skilled in helping local government tap into these resources and apply promising practices locally, tailored to each community's context. So there is our resource library. And finally, in addition to a monthly general newsletter, members are provided with a quarterly bulletin that provides information on current member-only opportunities like programs, events, partner discounts, and opportunities to highlight members in the work that they're doing. So next, I'm going to dive into ways that you all can get involved locally. So as you all know, there are countless ways in which you all can continue to support Salt Lake City. One way that we've identified is through Welcoming Week. I think I speak for my colleagues when I share that we often get questions like, what is Welcoming Week? How do I learn more about Welcoming Week? Or can you explain Welcoming Week to me? So before I do my best to respond to some of these questions, I want to give you all a bit of history on how it all began. The first Welcoming Week was held in 2012, a few years after Welcoming America was founded. The goal was to galvanize the narrative of communities embracing the values of being welcoming. That year, over 50 events took place in 20 states and brought together more than 3,000 newcomers and longtime residents. From that point, Welcoming Week continued to grow, and when I joined the Welcoming America team in 2020, there had been nearly 3,000 events held across the globe the year prior. And even last year in 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, the drive and the energy for Welcoming Week persisted. Events have been hosted and support has been provided by national organizations and partners like the YMCA and their branches, as well as a growing network of additional local partners. We have also seen growth in coverage by local and national media who have helped spread the practices and messages that we at Welcoming America believe are core to and define Welcoming Week and its movement, which is that communities everywhere embrace and celebrate the value of welcoming for all. So back to the question of how to define Welcoming Week. Is there really one definition we can all use? I don't fully believe that there is, but what I do believe is that by taking into consideration the guiding practices, values and messages, as well as our individual participation and experience, Each of us is then able to develop our own unique and personal definition of Welcoming Week and what it means to us. For me, I see Welcoming Week as a way to celebrate one another, embrace our diversities, share our pride through art, culture, tradition, education, storytelling, and conversation. Welcoming Week is a chance for us to send the message that you are welcome here. So finally, I will close out with some resources for you all. We just recently published a cookbook as a tool for building meaningful connection across differences. It pairs recipes from diverse cultures with activities that connect people around a shared table and get them working together on a common goal. If you're looking for Welcoming Week ideas or a tool that can really help you gather people together, this cookbook contains in-depth examples of programs and events that model how exactly to bring these people together. The models are great inspirations for events. Additionally, there are endless ways to use recipes for a Welcoming Week event, whether you're featuring a cook-off between local chefs or a restaurant hop. The recipes will kickstart your brainstorming process. And as we all know, food is a great way to bring people together. So please feel free to visit our resource library and search Taste of Belonging Cookbook to read more and download that cookbook. For more resources, again, you can check out our resource library. It includes the Taste of Belonging Cookbook, America Needs All of Us. It also includes the Social Cohesion series. It has a ton of different resources that could be useful to you all, depending on where you're at in your welcoming journey. For updated 2022 Welcoming Week materials, head over to our website at welcomingweek.org. Here you'll find more information on past events, marketing materials, and more. And finally, please utilize me as a resource. I'm here to support you as best as I can. So please do not hesitate to reach out. We know that the work of welcoming, belonging, and inclusion isn't just something that happens during Welcoming Week. It happens every day, often in difficult times. So on behalf of everyone at Welcoming America, I really want to thank each of you for the amazing work you do every single day. You make all of this possible, and while you celebrate during Welcoming Week or during any event or any of the work that you do year-round, be sure to take some time to celebrate yourselves and be proud of all that you've accomplished in Salt Lake City. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to have presented to you, and please stay in contact. You can email me at george@welcomingamerica.org, and I will get back to you. Thank you all. Hope you have a great day.
That was wonderful. Does anyone have any question or any comments about Welcoming Week? We may not.
This is Everett. I'm sorry. I was wondering, is this something like we could look to incorporate with some of the things that we're doing, like the Outstanding Living Traditions Festival that's going on this weekend? Something that we could incorporate in with some of that stuff that we're doing?
Moana, isn't the point of this collaboration, what is the point of this collaboration? Isn't this something that is this part of our subcommittee topics, or this is just something that they want us to know about?
No, so for Fatima, a little bit of background. Fatima, who is the New American Refugee and New American Policy Advisor, she has been running the Welcoming Week for, I want to say since the last administration. So this is going on 6 years in September.
Okay.
And so, but part of the Welcoming America or the Welcoming City designation, we've never had that at Salt Lake City, would be, there's criteria, which she has, she's not here right now, but she has, that we could work within the subcommittee to possibly partner with what's already here in the city. It's just whatever the Human Rights Commission wants to take on or partner with them, or if we're just gonna strictly look at policy and practice of how to welcome whatever that definition of welcoming, welcome American, new Americans and refugees is.
So I need to get going, but just a thought off the top of my head, perhaps having a presence at the international market would be a good idea. I believe that's getting off the ground in about the first one, I think, is going to be in a week and a half or so, and then it's going to be monthly beyond that. So yeah, I don't know, it might be a good idea to have somebody there to say something or let the community know a little bit more about program.
So it sounds like we may want to connect with Fatima on this, Moana.
Yeah, and I can send her these two for the specific, like, what Everett's feedback as well as Jason's. Because I don't even know what the international market is.
Oh, it's a new, it's gonna be happening at the Fair Park.
Oh, this
That
is
space
nice.
there, they're gonna have an international
Okay.
market, and the idea is to, well, I shouldn't speak too much on this, but just a little that I know about it is that the idea is to have different vendors that represent, you know, the eclectic part of Salt Lake City and the different cultures and things to be there and to have a place for them to, you know, to meet, almost like the market that happens monthly, I guess, on the
farmer's market?
farmers market, but this is more of an international market. So they'll have artists. There's actually a call right now for specific vendors. They're looking for artists, you know, people that bring a wealth of different cultural backgrounds to sign up to be there. So like Jason mentioned, the first event is coming up in about a week and a half. I'll send that information by email for anyone that wishes to send it out to their groups. Commissioner Salazar Hall is here. I just have to give her a little bit of a welcome. Commissioner, we have a new commissioner with us today, and today is his first day. His name is Commissioner Everett Bacon. And he is an at-large and will be our connection to the ADA commission that was recently set up. So I'm going to just give you a few seconds to just introduce yourself to him and welcome him to the Salt Lake Human Rights Commission. You have the floor.
Hi, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Bacon, was it?
Yes.
So good to meet you. I am Nicole Salazar Hall. I represent District 5. I am a family law attorney by day and I guess a policy activist by night. I'm on the Racial Equity and Policing Commission, and I'm on the board of several nonprofits involved at the law school on their board of trustees. And it sounds like I'm going to be on the board of the Utah Bar Foundation too, which is pretty cool. They give a whole bunch of money to different, they get to give money to different programs for access to justice and law related fun things. So exciting to have you. I'm glad we finally have an ADA connection. I'm glad we have an ADA specific commission too. That's fantastic. I recognize that most of the time I am able-bodied and take for granted my ability to walk on my two legs and open doors and that sort of thing. Though recently I've been less than able-bodied. I think it's ending soon. I don't know, but it did make me realize how much I take for granted accessibility in Salt Lake and how inaccessible Salt Lake City is. Holy crap! Did not realize that. So I'm very happy you're on board to help us out with that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Commissioner Salazar Hall.
Commissioner, I wanted to go back to the welcoming week and add information as I know. I do
Oh,
know that
absolutely.
Fatima has been working on this. Let me share what I know. The welcoming week is held in September, and there is a committee that's already working in making this year's planning and programming. And I'm guessing if anybody wants to get involved with that, Fatima would be the connection. They did have an in-person event last year as well. And it's a pretty robust group of people that come together to put it together. And then In terms of the international market, as you explained to everybody what's going on and everything, I didn't quite understand Commissioner Wessel's comment that we should be there in the sense of what's the connection with Human Rights Commission and the international market. Except for that, some of us come from diverse communities and we can put the word out, but I don't know what representation over there would mean. And there was one more thing about Welcoming Week that I wanted to add. It'll come back to me.
Okay, thank you so much for that addition. I will try to send the whole commission what I've gotten from just our community council side to share about the international market. I do like your idea of connecting with Fatima. It sounds like there's already something happening. And I think just to clarify what Commissioner Wessel was saying was that the international market would be a good place to perhaps spread the word about the Welcoming Week, just because of the audience that it will attract. And I don't think he was necessarily mentioning that we should, as commissioners, go out there and like pass out flyers, but just that maybe Fatima maybe can connect with the people that are putting together the international market. I believe Representative Hollins is a good source for that. That's something that she worked hard to make sure that we made sure that it happened on the west side. So I can give you her contact as well to just find out how that connection could be made in order to sort of spread the word about the Welcoming Week as well, especially with it happening in September. That'll give them a little bit more time to make that connection and make it work. Okay.
And I also now recall about Salt Lake County is certified as a welcoming county. They were just going through recertification process, and there were a bunch of interviews and other activities happening throughout, I want to say throughout April, and different organizations and individuals were invited in that process of recertification. And I know my organization was one of them. And once again, Fatima was involved. So I believe Salt Lake City will also acquire a welcoming city status after this audit.
Very cool. All right. Thank you all for your addition and questions and just helping this move along a lot more with ease. I am just pulling up the agenda, which I have lost in my, here we go, in my multiple screens over here. We are going to move the Love Your Block presentation to our next meeting. Their representative is not here today to speak on the topic, so we will move them to the next agenda. And then the last thing that we're going to have, not last thing, but we are going to have a quick discussion on the Human Rights Day celebration. Moana, can you lead us a little bit on that? We're preparing for, I guess, for December, but we're just trying to figure out the different ideas. So Moana, please.
So I wanted to first pass it through this, through the commission. If you all wanted to, I will carry the load of organizing it, but I first wanted to know from all of you is if you would like it to be in person. And I know that some people still have different comfortable, their comfort levels are different. So it would not be till December 10th. And I just wanted to first ask that question before we proceeded in planning it.
It's challenging this far out to make this call for myself personally, because we are dealing with a moving target with COVID right now.
All right, and that's a very fair point, Commissioner Doumbia. Anybody else want to weigh in this discussion? There are two options. We could do hybrid, we could do in person. or plan in person and have that as an option when it comes to it. I just want to know as I start to look for venues and things in December that I'm working with you all to prepare it that you all are able to attend.
Bacon,
Oh, yes. Commissioner Bacon.
how large of a venue are you looking to get for this type of event?
In the past, I think last year we didn't hold it at all, and the year before I was not here. And I was here, oh my goodness, you all who started with me, was that 4 years ago? 5? And we did it at Glendale Middle School, so it was, that one was really big, but that was pre-COVID, so very different vibe that we would be doing this round, so we're open to suggestions.
Could we do this, Moana? Because I have no visual on what it would look like. Can you tell, especially the new people, what was done in the past? You know, in terms of people, the food, the events, presentations, whatever was done for it, just so I can have an idea.
Oh, sure. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Commissioner Dubia.
Yeah, the most recent one, well, again, pre-COVID, it was catered. I believe it was the Spice Kitchen group that catered, although I may be incorrect on that. And that was lovely. As far as people in attendance, again, this is pre-COVID. You know, it was done at a middle school, so it was done in an open area of a middle school, which allowed for mingling and things of that nature, as well as a place for presentations. I can't tell you offhand exactly how many people were in attendance, but well over 100 people. And I think it was, I would consider that frankly moderately attended.
Yeah, and I think I agree with Commissioner Dubia that there could have been more in terms of space. So we were pretty spread out even pre-COVID, but yeah, so part of the agenda too is we nominate 3 folks to, well, one is a group, so we nominated a group that did human rights work, and then an emerging leader as well as an outstanding leader. So there was 3 categories, and the commission chose those 3 awardees, and then they were given them in the presentation of the evening. So we provided food, and then there was also the middle school. They provided entertainment from all of the different cultures that were represented in Glendale. So that was really cool too. And then the commissioners got to present these awards to folks that have done really good work within the community in terms of human rights. So that's just the background. I mean, it's pretty flexible. We can go way smaller than 100 people, even though the capacity was for more, but that's a lot. And I don't know if anyone's comfortable with being in a room of 100 people. So that's kind of.
So it would be a program and it's open to the public? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. And their presentation, are there any entertainment?
Yes, we had historically, yes.
Okay. What kind of entertainment did historically have?
We had the one that I would last organized was that one at Glendale Middle School, and we had the students. They were participating, so there were quite a few of them. They represented, like, I think there was like 4 performances where it was like Pacific Islanders, then there's a Latinx community, there was a Native performance, and then there was one from, yeah, I think those were the 3 actually. Yeah, that was so it was, there was a lot of people there, and for that part, I don't think, pre-COVID, that was okay. I think something on a smaller scale, with a smaller group and not as many students would probably be more applicable for us at this time. But I do really like that we were highlighting community, and that's the connection of the HRC to everybody that's out there, and especially the people we highlighted, and to just show our appreciation for the work that they do. And then we did a presentation for what the Human Rights Commission was about and working towards. So kind of it's also educational that you all exist and you're doing policy work here within the city.
Okay. When you say they performed, was it dances? I'm literally like trying to visualize how it was.
Yeah.
They said they
So
just
within
had
the
dances.
have you ever been to the Glendale Middle School auditorium?
No,
Yeah, so they did all the dances there. And
the
then we
new
did
school, was this done
Yeah.
at the new school? Okay.
Yeah, I was in that auditorium and they did, they danced there on the auditorium.
So it sounds like what we need to discuss is, first of all, I think we need to make a decision, not so much a decision right now. The questions we have to answer is, one, do we want to hold an event this year? And then two, do we want to hold it inside or make it virtual due to just the changes that are happening? And I think the second one is easy for us to plan for, because if we say virtual, then we can just determine like what the program will look like on a virtual setting. You know, people could perform and then we can have a video and share that video. There's just so many different things that we could do ahead of time, but ultimately we just need to make the decision on whether or not to have the event, because we will have to, if we're nominating someone we have to decide what those categories are gonna be ahead of time, and then send it out for people to make the nominations. And I don't know how that works. I don't know if we just decide who is gonna be nominated, but I'm assuming that there's gonna be some sort of, nominate whoever you want to, and then the person with the most nomination will get the award. Maybe it works differently, but this is just things that are coming from the top of my head. If we're gonna ask people to perform, whether it's virtually or in person, we need some time for them to organize for that. So, how does everyone feel so far about just having a celebration this year?
So if I can chime in, the event
Absolutely.
we had, I guess 4 years ago, really truly was the high point of Human Rights Commission for me. Moana did an outstanding job. In my tenure with the commission, I've not seen anything more uplifting and anything much more outward facing for the commission. So I do definitely vote to do an event again based on COVID situation at that time. It'd be easier to make a decision to say we're not going to do it in person, but prepare to do it in person, because most of the city activities have resumed. We're having living tradition to every other festival and everything, so why not this celebration? And if the numbers are higher or there any other reason, we can vote to change it. In terms of nomination and what the process for the event would be, once again, there is a blueprint available with the city employees. They can definitely take that blueprint and re-implement us and ask us to vote on decision making. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel here. It's all been done before, and there's a process that's available. Just my 2 cents.
Thanks, Commissioner Beneri. Yeah, I do feel like you all do a lot of work in behind the scenes, and this is the only thing that is outward facing for you all to celebrate the good work that you've been doing with other folks in the community. And I will have to say there is a process in place, just like Commissioner Beneri said, and we can just revamp that part for the nomination process, and I can do it on Google Forms and simplify that for you all. So there is that process, Chair Stoll, that I just I can share that afterwards.
Awesome. So it sounds like, should we take a vote at our next meeting?
I
Just so
think that
that,
that's
go ahead.
up to you if you all want to. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually have a quorum here.
Okay. So let's take a vote on whether or not we want to have an event this year. And this would be in December, right? That's the
December.
proposed date,
December 10th, yeah.
December. So all in favor for holding the event, say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. So we're good to go on the date. We're gonna hold the event, whether it's in person or hybrid. Perfect. So now, Moana, the ball is in your court to break out the previously established blueprint and then just let us know where we need to go on that. Correct?
Okay,
Okay.
yes, I can get all of that put together and share with you. I'll start prepping for that date as well as the nomination process so that that can happen. And we can nominate everyone by fall and then start notifying folks. So I usually do prep that. And then we'll have a window open for them to put folks in. And yeah, I'll have all updates for our next meeting. So that
I just
y'all
also
know.
realized that I did fail to say, does anyone oppose? Okay, we're good to go. Just want to make sure it's all clear and cut.
And I just want to clarify. So what I understand, Chair, is that we are going to hold it to plan for an in-person and then just when we get closer, if we need to go online. Is that,
Correct.
that's my, okay,
Correct.
all right.
Okay. So we will move forward on that item number 6. Our item number 7 is the hybrid meetings. Whether we should, the idea on this was to discuss whether we should do the quarterly in person. And then, okay, Moana, explain this a little bit more because your notes, you have a better idea of what your notes mean. What I'm understanding here is that it's the hybrid, do it quarterly. Every quarter we meet in person.
Yes, so due to the ordinance and the city statute, we have to meet in person and I'm at the Anchor location. So Commissioner Begin can come if you would like to, all of us, this is technically hybrid. So hybrid level 1 is that we just, the public participates, but they come in person and we can meet as the presenters and the commissioners online. So that's the hybrid level 1 that we're doing right now. In person would be completely in person. And what the Racial Equity and Policing Commission has chosen is to meet quarterly in person. We would meet with the chairs and see which month is best and most accessible here at the City Hall to come in person. But that's a decision that is left up to the commission. And there aren't, the only thing that the law states is that one person, is here at an Anchor location and broadcasting out like we're doing right now, the meeting. And then if you all don't want to meet in person, that is your choice to continue hybrid like this, or if you would like to do that quarterly.
Okay. Commissioners, any thoughts on the options presented?
This is Everett. I'm fine with meeting in person.
So Everett's fine.
So
Having
I like,
done-
go ahead, Commissioner
sorry.
Dumbia.
Having done, quite a few in-person pre-COVID meetings, I certainly love seeing everyone's faces in person. However, I also want to be respectful that not everyone's comfort level is different with COVID, regardless of what ordinances or general recommendations are made. I'm not opposed to a version of a hybrid, whether it be meeting quarterly or something to give those who are not comfortable with the with the in-person option, because frankly, for myself, I do not attend things in person unless it's a small group and I am up to date on each individual's vaccination status.
And that is also a choice, Commissioner Dubia, this is Juana speaking, that if you all just want to continue this hybrid model, that is also a possibility. I just threw out quarterly because that's a choice that the other Racial Equity and Policing Commission. There are commissions and boards right now at the city that are only doing in person and have chosen to do so as a body, but we don't have to choose that because I'm already here as the anchor location. So it's all up to you all.
Yeah, I think we continue with hybrid. I think it makes it accessible for certain members of our community. And if we're going to be, of course, Human Rights Commission, we need to be accessible to everybody. And I absolutely agree with Commissioner Doumbia. I want to respect people who need to be more restrictive with who they see in person. I know I'm vaccinated. I'm not at a particularly high risk for severe reactions, but some of my family members are, but they're all vaccinated. But at the same time, there's some people who can't be, who don't get the full effect from a vaccination. So I think we should be inclusive in that regard and try to remain hybrid if we can, at least until, if we can ever get back to a place where COVID is not so deadly.
Mhm. So I also agree on the hybrid version. And I think what sounds almost better is the quarterly. That way it's a little bit more organized. So we could, I don't know that we are, I think we should table this to the next meeting, Moana, just to give Jason an opportunity to comment on this and vote. How does everyone else feel about that?
And
I agree.
I can still, it won't affect me. I will still be here in person. So even if Commissioner Bacon wants to be here, then I will be here. Someone will always be here to receive you all. Go ahead.
I would agree. I'm fine with the quarterly as well. I think it would be fun and nice to meet some of you in person at some point. But I totally understand and that it's different situations for different people and support that. If we did a quarterly or if we decided to wait another 3 or 6 months before we did that, I think that'd be fine too. And giving people the option, I think, is a great way to do that.
Yeah, and the other part to this would be if it was in person, I just have to give 24-hour notice of where it is and where we're meeting. So even if we were meeting outside, if that made people feel a little bit better to meet in person, those are possibilities too. I think pre-COVID was inflexible in many ways, and now people are like, actually, this still is within legal. This is still legal if it's not always in the canon room. So throwing those things out, I'm willing to find us venues that are flexible for everybody as well.
Okay. So I'm assuming that we've all agreed to table this to the next meeting, or am I completely reading that wrong? Again, I just want to give Jason also an opportunity to chime in. I'm sorry, Commissioner Wessel, an opportunity to chime in, and then we can just finalize it. With whatever outcome we decide. I think majority of us are okay with quarterly. Anyway, so we'll do that, Moana. Can we just add this to our next meeting agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you all for your feedback. If you feel that I've completely dismissed anything that you've said, please email Moana and let her know exactly what it is that you wish to, what you're leaning more toward. And then we'll just incorporate it, make sure that we make it accessible to everyone. And the other question that I had though, Moana, was if we had a quarterly meeting, let's say this quarter, 1 or 2 or 3 of us could not make it in person, like that is still flexible. Like those individuals could still use Zoom, right? As long as there are some people in person.
I think if I prepped for it as in person, I wouldn't put a Zoom in if that was the choice of everyone. And
Okay,
then you would just expect it was in person. So I think that that's part of the decision because the prep is just different for me.
so if we just said hybrid, then anytime we can just show up all together or,
Yeah,
okay.
then I'll
So,
always set this whole thing up. I'll set up everything to receive people, but also if people would like to be online.
okay, so that kind of changes things up a little bit. Did everyone hear that?
Yep.
The difference?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think I would want to tie everyone to an in-person if some of us are uncomfortable with that on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
So I think
that's-
just saying that we're hybrid is good enough
Yep.
to give people the flexibility to either Zoom in or be in person.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Okay, all right. Moana, could you just make a note for that difference so that when we present it to Commissioner Wessel, that it's clear?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Our next item, if anyone else doesn't have any more comments on our item number 7, is we're going to review our goals and priorities. I know that, sorry, Moana, can you take care of this section? I have got to run off the camera real quick and go help my daughter, but I'll be right back. But let's talk about the review of goals and priorities, and then I'll be right back.
I was just going to give an update. Well, for the subcommittee for refugees and new Americans, we met last month and we'll be meeting at the end of this month. Still narrowing down the scope of the work, but what we just presented, Commissioner Benuri already talked about. That was part of our discussion in our last meeting, so I don't want to rehash that. But we are supporting and we're reviewing, Commissioner Dubia was there, the policy for language access in the city, which is still just like it's connected with our next subcommittee. We're still waiting for the joint resolution with the city council for them to pass that joint resolution for language access. But Commissioner Dubia and Commissioner Wessel and Commissioner Bernuri were able to give feedback on the policy thus far. And Roxana, who you all met in our last meeting, who is the language access coordinator, will come back after she's already sent that internally and then had your all feedback included on that. And she's gonna come back to the subcommittee with more feedback because she will be presenting that to the mayor and city council. Well, the mayor first, and hopefully we can start to implement that after the commitment of the joint resolution between city council and the mayor. So I will keep you all updated. They still haven't put it on the agenda. Our whispers from the city council, because we can't control them, is supposed to be on the agenda in the next month or so, but we won't definitively know until it is on the agenda. So I'll make sure to update all of you on that. And for CDOS, same thing. If you all are friends with our city council members, you can share your energy and enthusiasm to push forward the CDAW onto the agenda. But as for the mayor's office and all that I can do at this point in time is, it's out of my hands. So that's my update for CDAW.
I bothered Councilmember Wharton about that specifically because this was his kind of his baby when he was on the Human Rights Commission. He said likely July. So it'll
Okay.
probably come before the council in June and it'd probably be on the agenda in July. But definitely bother the council chair. And who's our council chair right now?
District
Dugar,
6,
Dugan?
yeah.
Dugan, like
That's Dan
Dugar.
Dugan. Okay. I don't have his cell phone number. But
I will bother Petra Eschler as well as Councilmember Pui on our
do, yes.
behalf.
And I'm gonna bother Councilmember Fowler as well.
Okay.
So if we all nag council members, maybe they'll do it just to get us to stop
So-
nagging them.
It's okay. I'm okay with nagging.
Me too.
So
But what he did
July
say,
is the date that you got?
well, yeah, and what Councilmember Wharton said is right now they're in the midst of the
Budget?
budget.
Mhm.
And so that's all. And I did listen in this afternoon on the work session for the police department budget. I mean, it's all good stuff. It's all stuff that the Racial Equity and Policing Commission has been pushing for. The civilian response team, the Promising Youth Program, an ancillary one that is nice, not something we've necessarily pushed for, but is more funding for victim advocates. So it's all really good stuff that they're asking for in their budget, additions to their budget. So, but because of the budget discussions, it's probably not going to be until June before they actually review it and then get it on the agenda for July. But we should keep bugging them.
Okay.
And this is Everett. Could you send me like a brief description of what it is so that way I know what to say to my councilwoman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll send that to you. I was just thinking, I've been throwing around CDAW so long that I forgot to explain that. So I'll send you all that we've done in the draft ordinance we sent over, Everett, so you can
Okay,
have
thank
that.
you.
I'm gonna make one comment, since we did committee updates. For me personally, keeping up with the committees apart from the commission has almost become impossible with the time constraint. I'm just leaving it out there. I do like working in the bigger group. I feel like we get much more done and everything. Obviously the decision is mutual. Just leaving this feedback for everyone.
Commissioner Benuri,
Yes, ma'am.
do you mind saying that again? I didn't quite understand.
So as part of the commission, making these monthly meetings and, taking away what we need to do is just about enough bandwidth that I have to then make time for another subcommittee to work on, some of the other issues. Yeah, I'm at a bandwidth where I almost 90% of the time am not able to make it to these committee meetings. And I am propagating that we do more work in the larger commission rather than splitting ourselves in time in the smaller committees. As a feedback, obviously I would respect the decision of the commission at large to function the way they'd like to. That makes sense?
Yes, and do you mind if I just respond to that?
Sure.
So one of the reasons why the subcommittees were set up was due to the fact that a lot of commissioners did not feel like their, what would you call it, like their strongest attributes were really being used. And so this subcommittees were sort of set up to make sure that we're addressing all the needs and expertise of the commissioners that are on the Human Rights Commission. And, I took the gentrification and certain and decided to be participating in certain subcommittees that I felt like my expertise would be helpful at. And And you've been amazing for the refugee and new Americans because, you know, you've got great background in that. And with Fatima and all what they're also trying to do with their group, it's beneficial for them to have your input as they try to create the, you know, the policies and move things along. And right now, we're still trying to figure out how to walk this walk in a way that benefits everyone, and make sure that everyone's attributes are being applied properly. So I don't want you to be discouraged, and I understand that your time is very tight in terms of being able to spend it on the subcommittees. But even just having you on that, even if you can't make it all the time, it's still very helpful for Fatima's group to make sure that they're being supported and that the Human Rights Commission is also aware of what's happening in that realm. The other point to this, and I was going to bring this up, is that we have set aside time to meet with Andrew Johnston on the homelessness issue. I'm not sure you're all aware of this, but it's a huge issue. And there's always, I feel that we always get told the issues, but never really the solutions. So we're trying to find a way to move past the issues and try to work with the city to come up with solutions such as policies or back certain policies that will help address the issues that we have. And that's sort of our role that I'm seeing here. So again, I'm not trying to dissuade you to make you change your mind, but I just wanted to give you that sort of response to let you know that it's not just to take away your time in a smaller sense, but to have all of us impact the process in a way that's, you know, like I said, in a way that really uses our skills, our individual skills, because your background is very different from mine. Your background is amazing. And I wouldn't want to use your background for something that didn't quite fit your background, but to be able to use your background to fit something that actually helps move a policy along, for me is a very, very beneficial thing for not just the commission, but also the city. So all that to say is, we love you. We want you to continue to, you know, be a part of this process and not be disappointed or annoyed at the little set aside things that we're doing. I hope that's clear in some sense.
Chair, this is Mona.
Go ahead.
I also understand where Commissioner Benuri is coming from in terms of, so what I've tried to do is only schedule the subcommittee meetings when needed. I think sometimes saying we're gonna have this every month is excessive if the subject isn't needed to move something forward. So I think on my part, in terms of planning, making sure that it's an actual work session. So sometimes I think it's not a meeting, but it's more of a work session in my perspective of like actually reviewing a document or having a couple of eyes that are different and on whatever we're going over. But I also understand and want to be respectful of the time commitment that it is for you all, and you're all volunteers. So those are the parts that I'm also hearing, and I will, and for me, just wanting to make sure that you know that I'm only going to schedule the subcommittee meetings when there's a purpose and project that or policy that needs to be reviewed, such as like the CEDAW was needed to move forward. So we met like, I don't even know, Nicole, I saw you every week that that week, but now we haven't met with the subcommittee at all and are bringing that. But I also think I could do a better job with connecting it with making sure we have conversations to bring to the larger group if people are unable to attend those subcommittees. So that's just from the process perspective that I'm trying to manage for the board. And yeah, so keeping that in mind.
Thank you, Moana. Commissioner Bernuri, what would you like to see?
So I absolutely understand the premise of creating committees. And I mean, I guess for me, it was going over that information again. I was only providing feedback, been trying to work in that model, that personally it is not working for me because of lack of time. That's all. And I will still stay with whatever the commission decides to be their operational, methodology. I also feel that some of the issues that you mentioned, for example, the unsheltered population, I may not have the expertise in it, but having been on the commission, I do have enough institutional memory, institutional, sort of information to be able to provide feedback from certain communities that I represent and help, the smaller group of experts make more larger decisions. So for me, having these smaller side meetings actually takes away from the experience of being on the Human Rights Commission to help the entire city. But repeat of my sentence, this is just a feedback and we
Yeah,
can keep moving and seeing how it goes.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback. Moana, to just, again, highlight the ins and outs of that particular topic. I know just connecting with Andrew Johnson was very difficult to get him to come and, present or speak to our commission, just based on his current schedule. And so part of having the smaller committee was now we are able to meet with him outside of our regular schedule. And that's going to provide us the ability, or give us the ability to connect with him on the issue, and then we can discuss it with the commission, as opposed to just waiting for him to eventually have a free schedule to meet us at our regular meeting time. So in some sense, a little bit of, there is benefits of having the smaller group so that the larger group is not waiting forever for feedback on a subject that we are all very interested in. But I hear you. And Moana, maybe you can put it on there that we can just maybe discuss this as a larger group on the about the subcommittees and how that's going, and just have a general feedback on what's working, what's not working. Okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for your comments. Our last, we're pretty ahead of time. However, we do have a little bit of time to discuss human rights around the world. And this is just sort of our opportunity to speak on the subject, share our knowledge, and in some sense, it could turn into something bigger, but right now it's just an opportunity for us to speak on the subject of human rights around the world. You all have the floor.
I can start. I mean, the one that kind of stands out to me is the most recent terrorist attack, predominantly community in Buffalo, New York. And the recognition by President Biden that white supremacy is a poison, and more really needs to be done to address the terrorists in our country. So what that is, I have no idea.
Yeah, and internationally, there was a journalist who was clearly identified as a journalist who was killed, which is against. I couldn't cite the specific policies and or things going on, but the Palestinian American journalist that was killed by Israeli forces, as well as a journalist was also killed in Ukraine.
And then possibly mention that journalist, the Palestinian journalist's funeral that was attacked on perhaps shaky grounds.
I just wanted to mention, I think, a lot of folks that are around my age who have infants right now have been struggling a lot. And recognizing with the inability to have access to, baby formula has been something that's been on my mind as well, and that possibly if it was any other country, this would be some human rights violation, people would be coming to the aid of them, but it is the United States of America, and I think that there's a lot of folks, especially those in communities that are already trying to get food in every type of way in the United States, it's been even tougher. So there's a lot of that's been like revolving in my own world.
So I actually have a request for information on one of the Utah state codes, and I'm going to put the code here, Moana, for you.
Okay.
It's called Utah Code Section 63G-27-201.
Can you do that one more time? So sorry, I was not quick enough.
No, it's 60 Utah Code Section 63G, G for goat, dash 27 dash
Yes.
201.
201. All right. Okay, I've got it.
If you could provide, some kind of information as to what this code is, when was it implemented, or which agency? I mean, obviously it came through the legislature. It does relate to every state contract under a certain amount, that if anybody is a recipient of those monies, that they cannot do anything anti-Israel. So in the sense of when we're talking about a US citizen, being killed, and if I protest that, supposedly this code will bar me as an organization to do so.
Right,
And in
looks like
my
it was-
understanding,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
So go ahead, please. I want to hear you.
I would say, I looked it up. It looks like it was sponsored by Senator Jerry Stevenson, co-sponsored by Representative Francis Gibson in the last legislative session, the 2021 legislative session. It looks like it was amended once. There was a first substitute that was not adopted. And it may be that this version that I'm seeing right now, I can send this a link to Moana, is the enrolled version. But I don't know that this would pass constitutional muster, honestly, just looking at it. And I'm not a constitutional law scholar by any stretch of the imagination. But given the US Supreme Court's holdings on the definition of a company, I think that company would be protected by free speech, provisions in the Constitution just as much as an individual would. So
my question is, from the lens of human rights, we are mandated by the state not to speak against a foreign government.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think this is constitutional at all. I really don't. It looks like it's a complete violation of your right to peaceful protest and a right to free speech, and boycott being one of those parts of free speech, even as a company.
As a commission, I'd like to look at these kind of laws that are being put in place or are in place to be able to see if we are doing a good job of advising our mayor and others in the state around these legislative initiatives.
I agree with Commissioner Benuri. However, I have to ask, would that be in the scope of the Salt Lake City Human Rights Commission over something that's statewide?
That's why I kind of handed it over to Moana to do some research and advise us.
I can do some research and figure out, but, I think Commissioner Salazar Hall, did you have something? But I can also do that and find out what our scope is.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this completely was off my radar. I didn't even realize that this was even proposed or anything, and that it was passed so easily.
Right.
It's very
Same.
worrisome. This is really scary language if you look at it.
Right. And the reason I came across it, once again, is not because I was doing anything. We are, as an organization, doing a health project. And the contract from the UDO, or now Health and Human Services, being an attorney, I have just a knack of reading the fine print. So, yeah, didn't serve me well.
Yeah, this is worrisome. I don't know the reason behind bringing it and sponsoring it, and I don't know.
Right. So, yeah, that's why I brought it in the international and outside of our commission's work to see what does this actually mean for our communities.
I'll ask because we can also discuss, or I can ask our attorney's office in terms of what that means within Salt Lake City, or what's this, again, what you said, Commissioner Benuri, what's the scope?
Sure.
So I'll follow up next week.
Thank you. Much, much appreciated.
Thank you, Moana. We are going to, does anyone else have anything to add to the discussion?
I have one thing.
Thank you,
This is
Commissioner Bacon.
Sure. One of the things that I think is a violation here locally, it is being worked on, so I want to preface it, but it's still going on, is the voting rights here in Utah are, we have this awesome vote by mail system that has been challenged over and over again, but yet, prevails. But yet, as part of that process, vote by mail makes it so, accessible and easy for everyone to get a ballot and vote. People with print disabilities, this would be people like me, people, that are not able to fill out a ballot with, using a pen or pencil. We are not able to vote in our home like everyone else. The technology exists for accessible electronic voting procedures and options. It's been done in many other states, but it's definitely a process that I'm trying to work on very hard here in Utah. I have gotten traction. There's an RFI, request for information, by the director of elections from the lieutenant governor's office, but the county clerks ultimately have a say in what puts together for voting. And Summit County and Utah County have agreed to put together a pilot system in place for people to vote electronically, using an email system or a text voting system. But Salt Lake County has not, and that's something I would like to see Salt Lake County lead the way on. Hopefully, eventually, we can get this rolled out for the entire state. But right now, if I want to vote, I have to go to an actual voting station and use a machine that they have there. Hopefully, that someone's set up and knows how to use. It's either that, or I have to give up my right to an independent and private voting option and having someone else fill out my mail ballot for me, which I know I'm never going to do, but I know a lot of people with print disabilities do because it's just easier for them to do that.
Do you think this is something that the Accessibility Disability Commission and the HRC could partner in terms of providing feedback for the mayor and city council?
Yes.
If they could at least do that within, or provide that feedback for the county to make those changes?
Yes.
I think that's probably the question I had here, Chair. Or
Let
Go
me
ahead.
add, there is a coalition led by ACLU, the Disability Center, League of Women Voters, and a couple of other organizations reviewing all the voting rights issues for all communities. I feel it would be a great idea to actually invite them to enlighten us as to what they found, and once again, look at their recommendations. And they've been following, a couple of bills that came up in this legislative session and were advocating against it and so on, and then match it with Commissioner Bacon's recommendation, and take it from there. They have been doing this work for the last 2-3 years. So the data exists for us to review it instead of trying to do it on our own.
Okay, we can invite them.
I'm happy to connect you to the group.
Yes, and I can connect us.
Is that the Let Utah Vote Coalition?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I believe
I'm
so.
on that commission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Would it be something, yeah.
Yeah.
So either one of you can connect me to them and then we can bring them in for a meeting. That'd be great. I would love to hear as well.
Sure.
Well, thank you all for the enlightenment. I think we have such a wonderful group here with incredible backgrounds that we can all share and make and impact the happenings of Salt Lake City. So I do appreciate all of you and your time, especially for being with us today. We are going to go ahead and close our meeting. I would like for someone to set the motion and close the meeting.
I'll make the
Motion to
motion to
adjourn?
close the meeting.
Go ahead, Commissioner Benuri.
I'll make the motion to
Can I get a
adjourn
second?
the meeting.
Second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? Hope not. Okay. Thank you all so much for your time. Moana, it sounds like you have a lot to get together for us next week. But we'll be, Pastor and I will be happy to meet with you to get it all sorted out and ready. I appreciate all of you for being here tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.